In today's video lesson, you will learn about the equations and graphs of circles, and you will answer 3 essential questions about how to identify the equation of a circle from the graph, how to find the center and radius from the equation, and then how to graph a circle. Our first essential question is how to identify the center and radius of a circle from an equation in center-radius form. So you already watched a video on deriving this form of the equation from the Pythagorean theorem. So when we see this equation, we need to keep in mind that the center of the circle is going to be marked by the points h, k. So think of h, k as an ordered pair, where h is the x-coordinate, k is the y-coordinate. And we said that this is going to be, the center of our circle. So the center. And then we know that the radius is going to be r. So if I know what r squared is, I know that I could take the square root of r squared to get r, which is going to be the radius. All right, so let's look at this example. We have the equation x plus 5 squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 36. And I picked this one because you'll notice that there's not subtraction there, but there's addition. What we see in our equation is that there's subtraction. So a good way to think about this is that we're really going to need the opposite of 5 and the opposite of 7 since we have subtraction there. One thing we could do is we could rewrite this with subtraction. So I could write x minus negative 5 squared plus y minus negative 7 squared equals 36. Sorry, I know that doesn't look like a exponent. All right, so this is one way of rewriting this equation, because what you need to see is that when we have x plus 5 here, really our h value is negative 5, not positive 5. So if I look at my equation from x minus h, that's the same as x minus negative 5, my h value is negative 5. And then y minus k, I have y minus negative 7. My y value is negative 7. And then all of this is equal to the radius squared. So if r squared is equal to 36, I have to take the square root of both sides to find r. So r is equal to 6. All right, so now if I ask you what is the center and what is the radius of this circle, you would tell me its center is located at the point negative 5, comma, negative 7, and it has a radius of 6 units. Our next essential question is how do I write the equation from a circle in center radius form if that circle is on a graph? So again, I've written our center radius form up here at the top of the page, and we're going to take a look at this circle. We only need the center and the radius to write the equation. So let's first look at the circle and identify the center. The center of the circle is right here at the ordered pair negative 2, comma 2. So that's the center of my circle. I could think of that because I remember my center is h, comma k. So I could really think of this where h equals negative 2 and k equals 2. The other piece of information I need is my radius. So you want to pick either a horizontal or vertical way that we can go from the center to the side of the circle and just count how many spaces we went over. So we went over 1, 2, 3. So the radius is equal to 3. And you could have gone up from here, 1, 2, 3 up. you could have gone left 3, or you could have gone down 3. But there's basically 4 ways to find the radius. All right, so we got a radius of 3. Now we're just going to plug this in, and remember this is r equals 3. We're going to plug this into our equation. So we said that the equation is x minus h squared. So I'm going to write x minus negative 2 squared plus y minus k squared. So y minus positive 2 squared. And all of that equals r squared. So that's equal to 3 squared, the radius squared. Now we want to simplify that, and what I mean here is I don't really want minus negative 2. I'm going to change this to x plus positive 2 squared, because remember, subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. So we have x plus 2 squared. We don't need to change anything in our y, so y minus 2 squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. So this is our final answer here for our equation. So just real fast, if you look at that, we can see that when we have x plus here, that's going to be a negative value when we look at our h value, whereas y minus 2 is a positive value. And I know that's kind of counterintuitive, and we can talk about that again in class if there are questions, but this plus 2 makes it negative, the minus 2 makes it positive, so our center is at negative 2, comma, positive 2. Our last essential question is how do I graph a circle from its equation in center radius form? So again, our center radius form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We've been given this equation, x plus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 9. So what we need to do is identify the center, graph it, identify the radius, and use it to find 4 other points. This really isn't too bad. So if we look at this, x plus 4. Remember that when we see x plus 4, our h value is going to be negative. So as I'm looking at this, I know that h is going to equal negative 4. Because remember, I could rewrite this as like x minus negative 4 squared. And I think that as you practice this, you won't need to rewrite it. You will just look at that and say that h is a negative 4. All right, then plus y minus 2. So that subtraction there actually makes our k value positive. So k is equal to positive 2. And then that equals 9. And remember, 9 is the value of r squared. So r squared equals 9. To find the radius, which is just r, I must take the square root of both sides to get the radius is equal to 3. So the radius equals 3. So we now have our center. We said the center of our circle is going to be at negative 4, comma 2, because that's h, comma k. That gives us the center, and the radius is equal to 3. So those are the things we have to identify from the equation in order to graph this. The graphing part is pretty easy. We're just going to first graph the center. So on my axis, I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to go left negative 4 and up 2. So I'm going to put my center right there at negative 4, comma 2. It's really hard for me to graph on this app, but it should be easier for you on paper. And then I'm going to use my radius of 3 to identify 4 other points. So from my center, I'm going to go out 1, 2, 3 to the right. There's a point on my circle. I'm going to go back to the center. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 units. There's a point on my circle. I'm going to go back to the center and go left 1, 2, 3 units. There's a point on my circle. And lastly, I'm going to start at the center and go down 1, 2, 3 units. There's a point on my circle. And then the last step is just as best you can, make that look like a circle. So we kind of connect these points with curves that would make it look like a circle, hopefully, and not a square. It's really hard to do on this app, so I don't know if that looks very good, but All right, you have learned everything you need to know today about the equation of a circle in center radius form.